Hello, hello, and welcome to another edition of Power the Pen. I am Luana Bradford, and I'm excited to be with you again on this Sunday. I hope you are doing well. Thank you, E360 community, for joining us, as well as those who are streaming on Facebook and LinkedIn. And today, I'm real excited because we are going to be talking about this book here, Striking Thoughts, for Daily Living by Bruce Lee. Striking Thoughts, Wisdom of Daily Living by Bruce Lee. And to just give you a little backstory, if you're not familiar with who Bruce Lee is, he was a phenomenal master in martial arts. He was a racial advocate for racial equality. He was a mogul when it came to what was happening in the film industry and in representing Asians in the industry and really fighting for equity and justice. But also, it was very interesting that people celebrate, obviously, his just physicality, the overall genius and his discipline. But what I found also fascinating about him was he was an amazing philosopher. And I think ever since my dad, when I was a child, took me to my first Bruce Lee movie, I was hooked. I was in love with all things Bruce Lee. And the more I studied him, the more intrigued I became. And when I took my recent trip, well, I guess it was prior to the pandemic, about 6 years ago, to Seattle, I wanted to kind of walk where Bruce Lee had walked. And I went to one of the Asian American museums there, which was phenomenal. I learned so much about Asian American history that, just like many other communities of color, it's omitted from our history books when we're looking at our primary and secondary socialization. So there was so much that I didn't know about the community. And I learned so much there, but then I also learned about Bruce Lee even more. And that's where I picked up this book, which you can actually find on Amazon. And what I would like to do as we go into this, let's see if I can pull this up. There's so much in this book. It's really just back to back philosophical thoughts, very deep thinking. It's not a book that you would read cover to cover. You read, you contemplate, you meditate, you see if there's any life application for you. And there's over 800 anecdotes in here. And he has 8 sections, starting with everything from first principles on being human, on matters of existence, on achievement, art and artists, personal liberation, process of becoming, and on ultimate principles. And this is something that shows you through his journaling, and this was all compiled after his death, but how he not only viewed the world, but how he lived his life. And I want to focus on part 7, which is the process of becoming. And Michelle Obama wrote a book called Becoming. There have been other authors out there who've also written books about becoming. But I found what Bruce Lee has to say is very, very insightful. These nuggets, these golden nuggets that he gives us on becoming, because we talk often about being our best selves, showing up, being authentic. What does that really mean? And so I want to break down a few things for you from Striking Thoughts, Bruce Lee's Wisdom for Daily Living. And again, we're focusing on the process of becoming. And I'm not going to go through all of these principles in this section because there's quite a few, but I wanted to tease out some that I felt were quite relevant for me and possibly for you, the listening audience. So the first thing is self-actualization. And self-actualization, we know in a nutshell, is kind of understanding not only who you are, but how you show up in the world around you, right? How you respond to the world around you. How do you energetically um, radiate to the world? And these are a few things that he said. He said, number one, in the process of becoming, when you are self-actualized, you do not look for a successful person to duplicate, right? You may have that successful person who has been there, done that, and you've heard me say over and over again, got the t-shirt, and they may be a guide, they may be a mentor, they may be a coach, but he says you shouldn't look to duplicate them, right? Why? Because you are uniquely designed for this appointed time to be you, to do you, to show up in your divine genius as only you can, and to serve the people that only you were meant to serve. So he's saying it's very important to pause and to not look to duplicate others. And often we tend to, and I'm going to focus on individuals, whether it's in life or in business, we tend to look at someone, it's like, oh, I like this about them, and we start to emulate them and carry their flavor a little bit. And again, they may impress upon you, and you can tell, especially those who are artists or in the creative space. Typically, you can tell where their influence has come from. That's not what he's talking about. He's not talking about to not be influenced by others or to not be guided by others, but he's saying do not duplicate, right? To be your own person, to show up authentically as you, whoever you may be at any point in time in your life. He says for us to always be ourselves. And that can often be a challenge, especially in this day of mass media, social media, um, all these ways that you can filter yourself and give an image that may not be as authentic, or maybe you're parroting what someone else is saying and trying to market it as your own, and because you're not really sold out for perhaps you, or perhaps you are so wedded to other people's thoughts that your creativity, your creative thoughts have become lost and buried because you feel more comfortable speaking and saying what someone else is saying rather than being you, rather than expressing yourself, which is principle number 3 that Bruce Lee encourages us to do, is to be comfortable with expressing yourself. Now, when we're talking about expressing ourselves, he's not saying show up and just be this arrogant, belligerent person who just says whatever they want to say simply because they can say it, and to be offensive and hurtful and stripping people of their dignity. That's not what he's talking about. But he's saying to know yourself well enough, like Shakespeare said, to thyself be true. Know yourself well enough that you're able to comfortably express yourself. You're able to communicate what it is that you want to the world, and you're not afraid of doing so. And sometimes fear gets in our way because we fear, will I be accepted? What will someone think of me? Perhaps they won't like what I say or how I show up, and I may be ostracized. He's saying when you're able to express yourself and be yourself, what that also lends itself to is having faith in yourself. And we know what faith is. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not yet seen. So it's like having faith in your becoming, right? Because we are continuously evolving as a people. Otherwise, if you're not evolving, you're kind of dead or sidelined in life. So again, in this book where you're talking about striking thoughts, uh, Wisdom for Daily Living by Bruce Lee. It's a great read. I think whether you're looking just as an individual or in business, the philosophical principles are brilliant. And then I love this quote where he says, start from the very root of being, which is asking yourself, how can I be me? How can I be me? When's the last time you asked yourself that question? How can I be me? Have you ever found yourself in a situation where it just felt a little uncomfortable, perhaps a little stuffy? The walls felt like they were closing in because you just didn't feel like you could just expand and express yourself, right? Perhaps you felt that you were being pressed into the wall, being sidelined, not listened to, not seen, not heard, right? We hear those sentiments being echoed over and over and over again. People want to be seen, they want to be heard, they want to be loved, they want to be respected. Those are the principal tenets that everyone wants. But you first have to start within, right? You first have to say, how can I be me? And once you're at that point where you're able to answer that, can you walk comfortably in your own shoes? Can you show up authentically, not as a replica, as yourself, expressing yourself, and with faith moving through this journey called life? Another part of self-actualization that Bruce Lee talked about is performing your own mission in life. And those of us who are in business, we're looking at our purpose and how does our purpose align with perhaps our business mission, and how do we show up? And when life changes, when economies change, does that change? This here, he's referring to your personal mission in life. So that's a question for you. Do you have a personal mission statement? A personal so what factor as to why you're here, what your purpose is as you journey in life. And then he says, and this is a pretty powerful statement, because we know that worry and fear can get in the way. And we hear that fear is false evidence that appears real, right? And he says, when you do what you know you are to do, there is no worry and there is no fear, right? That means when you have a sense of knowing, right, why your mission, why you were here, and you were doing that with commitment, that you are solely wedded to that, there is no fear. It washes away fear. There is no worry. Why do you fear for doing what you're supposed to do? There is none. Why do you worry? What is there to worry about? You know all that you need will fall into place at the appropriate time. Those resources, those relationships, those pathways, those doors of opportunity will open up at their appointed time. So that's why, I want you to just focus on this. And one thing that Barbara Beckley, she focuses on is finding your purpose, your passion, your drive, your PPD is what she says. And this is similar to that when you're performing your own mission in life and you're doing so and you're committed to it, it washes away worry and it washes away fear. And he says, you are only to perform your own mission in life without thoughts of aggressiveness or competition. Think about that. When you're in your lane, when you're running your lane, you're thinking about doing you, being you, outperforming you, right? There's not this aggressiveness or hostility or competition because of what others may be doing, even if they're doing the same thing you are doing. Again, this is a part of the process of becoming as it relates to being self-actualized, being aware of your state of being. I sat on in this when I read it, and he says the statement of self-actualization is, I am what I am here and now. I am what I am here and now, meaning where you are and what you have is the present, right? Yesterday's gone. You're not there. Tomorrow hasn't come yet. That's the future. You're not there either. Who you are, what you have, is where you are here and now. Here and now. It's being very present, very mindful about how you're showing up in this moment of space and time, and realizing that that is who you are in this very finite moment. And then you transcend to the next moment, to the next moment, to the next moment. And when you're able to sit in that and live in that, then all the worry, all the ash and trash, all the what ifs go away because you're dealing with the what is, right? So again, I am what I am here and now. Another point that he talked about in the process of becoming is self help. And this is how we are looking at always trying to improve. Sidney Poitier said that his goal was to always be better than he was the day before. So always looking to improve. How can I show up better? How can I be me better than I was before? And Bruce Lee says there's no other help but self-help, right? I can put you in front of all the experts in the world. I can give you every magical formula to apply. But if you do not commit to that application, the help will not be actualized. So that's why he says there's no other help but self-help. Obviously, there's awareness, but then once you have awareness, then there's application of that lesson, of that life lesson. And he reminds us to always do our best. It's like living and giving yourself grace. Give yourself some grace. It is so easy for us to beat ourselves up. Oh, I should have done better. We can be our hardest and harshest critics. And he's saying, just do your best. One of the things that my father used to say, and this was something that his mother, my grandmother, so told him, which was, when you do your best, all the angels in heaven can do nothing but stand and applaud you because you've done your best, right? You haven't cut any corners. You've shown up full out, right? You're like, it is game on. I am all in. I'm giving it all that I have. And that's what Bruce Lee is reminding us in these, again, striking thoughts principles, is to do our best. Look at doing our best, giving our best. And then he says, dedicate yourself to a given task. Because sometimes we can be all over the map and we're busy. We're like that hamster on that wheel. We're moving. There's a lot of activity. Or we're like Pigpen, the Peanuts character. We're kicking up a lot of dust, but we're not going anywhere. But when you're committed and giving yourself to a task, that means you're going to see it from end to end. You're going to see it to completion. You're going to give it your all. You're going to be focused. You're going to be dedicated. You're going to be disciplined. Success leaves clues, ladies and gentlemen, and these are principles of success. We can look at Bruce Lee's life, whether it was his mastery of his discipline as a businessman, as an actor, right, as an influencer in the film industry. He always showed up with game face on, full on, no excuses. Let's make it happen. So the question for you is, how dedicated are you to the tasks that you have before you? You're saying you want certain things in life, you want certain things in business, but then you may be a person who finds every excuse why something can't be done, or else you make it halfway through and it's like, oh, this is a little bit harder than I expected, and so you give up. He's saying no. The part of becoming is that self-help. So in order to do your best, it's practice, it's repetition, right? That repeated process, dedicating yourself until the end. And he says self-help has no end, but is an ongoing process, which means as we journey through life, right, as we're evolving, as we're learning more through our lived experiences, we're constantly tweaking and improving and becoming more aware of who we are becoming. I'm going to pause right there and do a little break, and then we'll be back for the rest of this brief review of Striking Thoughts, Bruce Lee's Wisdom to Daily Living. To learn more about Power of the Pen, or if you'd love to be a guest on Power of the Pen, please email me at lawana@bradfordgroupmtg.com. My Linktree information is below. You can also contact me on all things social media on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram is the Lawana Bradford, but the other two by my name, Lawana Bradford. Would love to talk to you. Talk about the book that you've written, or it may be a book that inspires you and has inspired you and shaped your life that you want to share with the world and give your perspective and take on it. We're open to that too. So again, this isn't just a platform for authors, but those who are readers as well, who are bringing some amazing works to us so that we can be more informed and our horizons that broaden and we become that much richer as individuals. And that's why I'm coming to you today. Like I said, Bruce Lee is just one of my all-time favorite guys, and I love his philosophical works, and that is what we are talking about. I want to also, let me show you this. And this is just showing you a little bit more about if you want to be present on Power of the Pen, just reach out to us and we will shoot you an application. And please follow me on all things social media, and we will be right back. Okay, well, we are here talking about Striking Thoughts, Bruce Lee's Wisdom for Daily Living. Again, this book is available on Amazon. It's an amazing compilation of over 800 antidotes and 8 different areas of discipline that Bruce Lee applied to his life and in business. And those who love all things Bruce Lee, many people have applied these life lessons, business principles to their lives and have seen a difference. And right now I'm taking from the section called The Process of Becoming. I'm not going to go over all of the antidotes included in here or all of those sections, but I did want to go over a few of the key highlights that I found that really resonated with me, and I hope they are also resonating with you. The next in the process of becoming in the self-help arena is learning your own nature in order to control it. Learning your own nature in order to control it. See, often we can say, well, this person made me do, this person caused me to get angry, this person hurt my feelings, but you have to ask yourself, what is my nature and how do I control it so that it doesn't control me? See, I'm spirit first, nature second. So my spirit should always override the natural man, right? I should always be able to tap into my divine genius, to look up to God, to seek guidance so that I can discipline the flesh, right? That I can arrest that. And he also reminds us to think for ourselves. We've got these amazing brains. We're these intellectual beings, and we shouldn't be afraid to think for ourselves. It's okay to share another person's thoughts or views, or perhaps someone's quotes or lessons. That's not what he's talking about. But once you go through all of this and you distill them, how do you think? about a particular thing, because your thoughts are going to influence the things that are shaped in your life. And we've heard that before. Thoughts become things, right? So you want to harness that nature. You want to control your thoughts, right? You want to be an active creator, a conscious creator in your life. Birch Smith Lyons is an amazing woman, and she has her company is called Essence of Being. And some of her principles are very similar to what Bruce Lee is talking about when it comes to becoming. And what she talks about with the essence of being is understanding your essence, understanding the truth of who you are, and being comfortable in expressing that, right? And controlling those thoughts, to be conscious of your thoughts so that can become conscious creators. Then he also says to understand your own weaknesses and strengths. Your weaknesses and strengths. We like to celebrate our strengths, right? Everything I do well, all the great things about me, but we have some blind spots. And that's okay. We're human. We're going to have those blind spots. What are they? Understand them. Ask yourself, do I want them to go away? Do I want to strengthen them? Do I want to improve them? Or perhaps if you're in business and you have a particular weakness, well, maybe you're hiring to that weakness, right? I'm bringing in that talent that I need to offset and create that balance, right? So I'm not off kilter by being dominant on the weak side, rather than strengthening and elevating and magnifying my strengths. See, when we operate from our strengths, when we operate from our seats of genius, that's where success lies. That's where joy in life lies, right? It's not like you're trying to push that boulder up the hill. I mean, it becomes fluid because you are where you were meant to be, operating in your strengths and your talents and your giftings. So that's why he says it's so important to understand both your strengths and your weaknesses, and how are you journeying therein. And then this quote is a very powerful quote. He says, self-conquest is the greatest victory. Self-conquest. Mighty is he who conquers himself, meaning conquering your flesh, the crazy thoughts that you may have, really being able to be self-aware. Again, the process of becoming is being self-aware and adjusting and correcting you. It's easy to criticize and point fingers at others, but are you looking back at you? Mary Ellen Saganovich often talks um, about when you're pointing the finger at someone, you actually have three fingers pointing back at you. So it's all about let me pause, let me check myself. Let me see where I need to make adjustments. What do I need to do differently? What can I learn about me in this situation, and why I may be responding or reacting, or why did I make a decision that I made and now I'm regretting it? So again, having that self-conquest, as he says, is the greatest of victories. Mighty is he who conquers himself. The statement of self-help that he gives is, a man is born to achieve great things if he has the strength to conquer himself. Now, again, this is written by Bruce Lee. So those of you do not get all caught up with, oh, all she's using is a masculine pronoun. Put he, she, whatever you want to class. If you're relating to this, I'm just actually pulling out as he wrote his what was extracted from his journal. So these are his quotes. So you can say a man or a woman is born to achieve great things if he or she has the strength to conquer him or herself, or again, whatever pronouns you want to use there. So think about that. Les Brown says, we have greatness within. We have greatness within. Well, how do we give birth to that greatness? How do we give birth to it? Well, it's sometimes getting out of our own way, getting rid of the ash and trash in life, conquering those things that may be holding us back, which at times can be that limited thinking, the monkey brain chatter, the bubble talk, as Birchsmith Lion says. What is it that you may have to conquer in you so that the greatness that you are destined to achieve, that indelible mark that you were meant to live on the world, in the world, comes to pass? He talks about the process of becoming, and this section is dealing with self knowledge. Again, self knowledge. And before we go into the self knowledge, I'm going to do one more cutaway, and we will be wrapping up the show when I come back. Welcome back, E360, LinkedIn, Facebook community. Thank you so much for joining us for another edition of Power of the Pen, where we are here talking about Bruce Lee's book, Striking Thoughts, Wisdoms for Daily Living. And these are life's applications that you can apply both in life and in business. And we're focused on the process of becoming. Again, this is just a great read, great book. Again, it's something that you're not reading from cover to cover, but digesting bit by bit based upon the applications that you want in your life, the discovery that you want to take in your life. And this book is available on Amazon. And we're talking about the process of becoming one of the 8 sections in this book. And we're focused on the subsection of self-knowledge. Bruce Lee says, do not be rigid. Sometimes we are our own worst referee. We establish such rigid rules in our lives. We box ourselves in. We compartmentalize ourselves. And then we wonder, why do we feel like the walls are caving in? Right? Why do we feel like we cannot be as expressive and as expansive as we want? Because we've placed these rules that we feel that society or family thinks we should have. Maybe not. It's okay to challenge existing values and systems and processes and rules that are out there if they feel like they do not fit you, if they're confining you from going back to one of the previous principles that he said, being you, being able to fully express you, showing up authentically for you. He also says, look within to see where particular problems lie, because often we may have a challenge in life. And I'm going to use an example, a challenge with someone else, right? Someone just got on my nerves, or someone offended me, or someone hurt me, or someone said something against me. He says to not look outside. Okay, we recognize this has happened. Now let me take the first course of action and look within. Let me ask myself the questions. Why am I hurt? Why am I offended? Let me dig deep. There's something deeper. There's some impetus that is causing me to feel a certain way that goes beyond this experience that I just had. This experience may have triggered something in me. What is it? Why is it there? So he challenges us to check ourselves, to get quiet, to be present, to go into that self-discovery mode and find out why a problem may exist. He says to look for truth in yourself and directly experience every minute detail for yourself. So find truth within. Find truth within. And experience every detail of your lived experience, right? Experience it. So often we're going through life and we're so busy that if you ask someone at the end of their day, can you really tell me about your day? Can you give me the feeling and the experience that you had with your day? Often people will tell you, well, I did this, and this, but What was the experience? Marva Riley, she is a holistic health practitioner, and she talks about just being so conscious. And one example that she recently gave was walking outside barefoot and feeling the earth beneath your feet, right? Or pausing and passing a field of flowers and taking in the soft fragrance, being so conscious that you're catching the little details or how the sunlight may be reflecting off of a particular object. Are you experiencing life, or are you just barreling through it? Just, I'm just trying to get through this day, I'm just trying to make it through. I apologize for the typo here, but he says to know oneself is to study oneself in action with another person. So to study yourself in action, how you're responding, how you're interacting with another person, because he believes that relationship is the mirror in which you discover yourself. That our relationships, our friendships, our marriages, our love relationships, our relationship with our children, with our coworkers, with our supervisors, with our stakeholders, with our clients is a mirror that we can use to discover ourselves, to discover our truth. The world reflects back to us what we are putting out. It reflects back. It's that mirror. And some people would challenge that. No, I don't believe that. But sit in it and think about it. To know yourself is to study yourself in action with another person. Relationship is the mirror in which you discover yourself. As we go on into more of his thoughts about self knowledge, and again, I'm just picking a few of these. There's over 800 anecdotes in this book. But he talks about don't criticize and break down the spirit of others. It is so easy to be critical of others. It is so easy to compare and put down other people. Maybe it's because of your own lack of insecurity, of your lack of security, rather, your own insecurities. So we want to always talk to people in a way that is loving and leaves them whole, but you're not trying to break them, right? You're not trying to cut them at the knees, right? It's like, why are you doing that? So again, his focus is do not criticize and break down the spirit of others. And take responsibility for your own actions, whether good or bad. And I know years ago, that was a hard one for me, is to take responsibility for the bad, right? Because it's easy to say, well, this person caused me to do this, or this situation resulted in this action. But no, we have to take responsibility of our actions, good or bad. It's a choice, it's a decision. So we're conscious, we make a decision, it may be split second, and then we act. So whether that's good or bad, we must take responsibility in our actions. And he says, if you have difficulties in communicating with someone, look for your resentment. So let's say there's an ought that you're having between a person. There's been an argument that you've had. There's been a disagreement, whatever it is, right? You're at an impasse. He's like, pause and let's not look at this other person, but ask yourself, why am I feeling so resentful? Why was I willing and made a decision to jump in this argument, to jump in this disagreement, to jump in this debate, right? Why? What is it that I am resenting that is causing this type of behavior, this type of response? And then he says that life is the continuous peeling of self, bit by bit, day by day. As we journey through life, we are a sum of our experiences. And some of those memories have long since forgotten because they are repressed. But when we start to go down the road of self-discovery and exploration, we begin to peel back the onion, and we see some things that may be good, some things may be painful, but it gives us a better understanding of who we are and why we are the way we are. It helps us to heal, right? It helps us to maybe take that story and translate it in a way that can be healing and cathartic for someone else. So he focuses on that. This life is a continuous application of growth, of discovery, by continuously peeling of self, bit by bit, day by day. His statement of self knowledge is freedom lies in understanding yourself moment to moment. I can say that the Luana who is here today, 12 months ago, is very different from the Luana 12 months ago. See, in the last 12 months, my family has gone through a major crisis. It seemed like back to back to back. And if you had told me this time last year that this is what I was going to face, I would have been like, I don't see that happening. But just out of the blue, life happened. Life happened. But through this last 12 months, it's been a process, and I realized that there was strength in me that I didn't know that I had, right? But I had been prepared for this part of the journey. Sometimes there's lessons along the way, and their applications are not intended for us at that time, but in time. So the statement here, freedom lies in understanding yourself moment to moment. In the last 12 months, I've been so in each moment and uncovering and discovering myself over and over and over again. And I wish that for you, that those of you that are listening, that you find that freedom of self, that freedom of self-expression, that freedom of self-actualization, and have grace in knowing that your discovery of who you are comes moment by moment as you peel back bit by bit, day by day. I want to thank you so much for joining me for another edition of Power of the Pen, where we went over the striking thoughts, wisdom for daily living by Bruce Lee. Again, this book, you can get it on Amazon. It's a great, great read. I think I recommend it for those of you that are in business, or those of you that have just personally, you're looking for self-development, self-actualization. Those of you who have mindful practices, it's a great book. And again, there are 8 different sections with over 800 antidotes. You just kind of pick a little bit out of each day, or however you choose to read it. And I think I found it to be very, very insightful, and it's, in some instances, it's been confirmation. Some it's an aha moment, and some it's been a bit challenging as I've had to answer the hard questions for myself, and even reconcile some things with myself as I move on in this journey of life. So again, thank you so very much for joining me on another edition of Power of the Pen. I'm excited that next week we will have a special guest joining us, and we will be talking about her book, and that will be with Dr. Lotus Richey. We have some more great authors who will be joining the stage. I'm looking forward to what we have coming to you this season. Thank you so much for joining me for another edition of Power of the Pen. And please remember that in life and in business, when your vision intersects with opportunity, success is inevitable. Have a great evening, and always remember, pick up the power of the pen. Goodbye, everyone.